I want to get on here and admit something to the world. I am scared. One of my defense mechanisms is arrogance and being egotistical. Because I'm afraid to show people that I'm scared. I'm afraid to show myself that I'm scared, if anything. However, as of recently, I have realized that it is okay to be scared. And it is okay to allow yourself to feel emotions and actually feel that emotion of anxiety in general. Because it's actually easier to be anxious than it is to be sad or be angry. So you find things within that horoscope that you would rather worry about because then you're not really feeling the emotion and you're just distracting yourself with finding little things about whatever that is, right? I want to be perfect. I've always wanted to be perfect. However, I've kind of changed my outlook. I don't really want to be perfect anymore. I want to be perfectly imperfect. So I want to be pretty goddamn close, but enough to a point where I hit a cap and I'm able to say, I'm done, I'm satisfied. And I've actually kind of been able to realize when I hit that point. And it's because I've been able to slow down a little bit, but also still keep the childlike energy and the excitement up because that's my superpower. I love being able to connect with people. I love being able to make people feel happy and comfortable within themselves. And I kind of realized, actually, I did realize that that cannot come at a detriment of your own health and your own mental well being. What? No way! How did I not know that? And that's where it comes down to. You don't need to cut people off. You don't need to stop speaking to people. You don't need to do any of that. However, you do need to realize when something serves you and when something doesn't. And it's scary. It's a weird reality to open yourself up to, is actually sit down and think, is this helping me? Whether it be short term, long term, whatever it may be, overall in the big picture. That's freaking hard to do because then you start thinking about it, and then that's when shit starts hitting the fan in your brain, and you try to convince yourself of any little goddamn thing to keep doing that thing. And it's really hard to find out. And you want to say you know because you do, but then you don't because then you actually convince yourself otherwise. So, and sometimes those arguments are really convincing. So, it's complicated. I'm kind of realizing that, and it's weird, and other people have their own fucking feelings and fears and things they're scared of and art and all that shit. And it's weird. It's kind of fascinating. I watched a video of a guy, and he was talking about how his frustrations with people watching film and how they analyze it. And initially, like, a lot of people were calling it a brain dead take, which at surface level, you would definitely call it that. But when you really start thinking about it, you start to realize this is not that guy's art form. Movies are not his art form. Movies are my art form. His art form might be music. Same way I look at a painting, I look at a sculpture, and I'm like, yeah, that's certainly a painting. That's certainly a sculpture. I don't think anything differently. I don't think anything of it. Surface level to me. Yet somebody might look at it and analyze it. I can call them stupid, but at the end of the day, that's important to them. Who am I to tell them what is important to them isn't important in the grand scheme of things? And that sucks. Because you know why that sucks? You gotta realize your opinions, your subjective view on things doesn't really matter that much. And having to swallow that and eat that up, that fucking hurts, man. But that's an important recognized thing to realize. So, you know. And then also just kind of realizing what you want, love. Like, I desire love. I want care. I want to be treated right, but how will anybody be willing to do that for me or to me if I don't do that for them in one way or another? And scary, man. Fucking hard. What a weird world we live in. It's not that weird. And then there's so many like distractions and all that kind of shit, but everybody needs a distraction, because if you're constantly living that environment all day, every day, ooh, it's fucking hard, man. That's why I don't blame people for finding their vices and that kind of stuff. Obviously, some people's are unhealthier than others, and at the end of the day, like I was saying, is this really serving you? And that's what you have to come to a realization for at the end of the day. Also, I'm watching this. This reminds me of the Caroline music video of Amine, like, but yeah, that's where I'm at. I have another frustration that I have, not necessarily with myself, but I guess with my nervous system wiring, is I kind of have like a up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down. So it's like an addiction to that high, and then you go down, and then high, and then go down. And it's cool, you know, because like it allows for creativity. And I was having a conversation with my therapist today, and I was like, I don't think I'm ready to like fully kind of stabilize that. Like I almost enjoy the, you know, the up and down. She's like, why? Is it serving you? And she was like, I was like, yeah. And then I kind of combated her with a thing. I was like, I could take a, you know, a medication in order to, you know, level that, which I totally am not against. Yeah, I kind of am. But that was kind of the point of the conversation. But I guess what we were talking about was the idea of perfectionism, and like the subtype of OCD that I have is I will never feel the way that I want to feel 24/7. I will never feel perfect all of the time, which is what I would desire. So no matter what medication that I took, whether that be a stimulant, an antidepressant, would allow me to feel the way that I would want to feel constantly. Um, so there's no, I'm not saying there's no point, obviously, because at the end of the day, you want to live close enough to the way that you want, that satisfaction level that I was kind of talking about at the beginning. But yeah, she was like, that's really interesting. She was like, yeah, I mean, it's, you have to redefine what perfect is in your own mind. Because I was doing an exposure therapy with her, and one of the things that was really bothering me, I would literally like wasn't even able to think about it because I was horrified. And then the next week, I'm fucking fine. I could like go to the 10 out of 10 exposure and not care about it at all. And not in a defense mechanism way or an egotistical way. It was just I was so infatuated or something with another thing that didn't bother me anymore. Because you know your brain will find other things to, you know, care about in that moment, in that moment, in that moment, whatever's most important to you at that time. And she's like, yeah, I mean, that's part of your frustration, is you're expecting yourself to always be upset at that thing all of the time. She's like, that's almost proving your perfectionism. You're like, you're expecting that. And I was like, you motherfucker, evil. Our brains are fucking evil. Not actually. I don't hate my brain. I'm actually really starting to love my brain. I think it's interesting. I'm starting to make more wholesome content. My last little short film that I made was pretty cute. I made it on an iPod Nano. Had like a very specialty kind of feel to it. But yeah, I'm experimenting with a lot more things. Somebody asked me, they were like, what differentiates you from other directors and whatnot? I was like, at this point in my career, I wouldn't say anything, just because I haven't had enough experience or enough things to really prove that to you or to myself yet. But I will say the act of experimentation that I'm trying to find out in order to invoke an emotion on the viewer as well as myself. And then I want to find out how I can make that sort of feel. and then start building narrative stories kind of based off of that. Because I want to, I don't want to always make scary shit. I don't want to always make happy shit. Like we fluctuate. Hedonic treadmill, if you will. So that's where I'm at. But I got 2 films that I'm shooting next week. I went to Huntington Beach with 3 people I met yesterday last night. I also shot dice with a whole group of people that I've never met in downtown LA. Shot for a restaurant, and then was handing out business cards and all that kind of stuff. My life is starting to pick up. I'm very proud of me. I'm able to look at myself in the mirror and be like, you're doing all the things that you said you wanted to do by moving out to Los Angeles. You know how cool that is? You know how cool it is to be able to say that things are starting to pick up and that you're starting to meet people and you're starting to do the things that you want to do and people are starting to become attracted to you, not in a physical way. Well, of course they will. I'm very handsome. But from a mental and a emotional way too. Beautiful. Amazing. I've also been going to the gym too. I'm hiding my body right now, but I'm starting to look good, motherfucker. Watch out. Y'all ladies better watch out. I'm coming. I'm not going to break your heart. I'm going to soothe you. And then we're going to realize that we're not meant for each other, and then we're going to happily depart with love and care. Or we're going to find out that we're meant for each other. Whatever it may be. I love you. I love life. And I want to share that with people. I'm hungry. I'm going to go get Chipotle. The kids' meal is really cheap. It's like $6. You can get any meat that you want. It's 2 tacos. I usually get rice, chicken, and lettuce. And then you get like tortilla chips too. It's a good deal. Why does that matter? Because I decide that it does. Anyways, I love you.